So 50 years and forward, here we go. Some of you might not realize that, but and know any of my background, but I was born in a very small island in the middle of the Atlantic. I grew up in a very small farm in the middle of the Amazon in South America. And in my teenage years, grew up in a very small mining town in the middle of South Africa. This background has opened up a world, and for me, that world was food. It was all about food. We grew up in a world where food was scarce. We were poor, not Instagram poor, real poverty. Not, oops, I had to skip brunch poor, real poverty. So this evening, we're going to talk a little bit about food trends, and in particular, my perspective on food trends. So good evening, everybody. My name is Jose Afonso, and I am the Catering General Manager here at TEDxTASIS England for Loadston House. So in our house, there was no fancy foods. It was all about survival foods. My father was a farmer, so we were never, ever out of food entirely. But there was nothing fancy. It was all grown at home. So when I hear about food trends, and in particular, nowadays, arguments about whether oat milk froths better than almond milk, it really does make me wonder how far has society come. Let me start at the beginning. So growing up, we were accidentally ahead of every food trend. So zero waste. For us, it wasn't a choice. We wasted nothing. It was unthinkable. Nose to tail eating. If it moved, we ate it all. Seasonal eating. There was no choice. Strawberries in winter, that was simply science fiction. Organic. Everything was organic. If you didn't plant it, you didn't have it. You had to grow it. We didn't call it farm to table because for us, the farm was the table. Sometimes even the chickens had names, which made dinner time a little bit emotionally complicated sometimes. Our food was not fancy. It was very humble. Rice, potatoes, corn, anything my father could grow in the back garden. Soups that could feed the whole family, the neighbor, left over for the next day, left over for the entire week. But we always ate together. No phones, no headphones, just stories, laughter, arguments, lots of arguments, and very loud opinions. Food was not a fuel. We do use that term a lot in my world nowadays, fuel, 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 which is fantastic for what it serves, the purpose it serves today. But for us, it was not about fuel, it was about connection. Which is ironic because nowadays I photograph all my food rather than speaking to the person across the table from me. Fast forward a few years, and I was lucky enough to get a placement in London. And it was a real culture shock. All of a sudden, food had labels. Where did all these labels come from? Gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, joy-free. I walked into a supermarket and thought, when did milk get so many personality traits? What's going on? Where I came from, milk was milk, and you respected that, and you appreciated every ounce of it. We didn't choose it, we respected it. And then came the menus. Menus with words that I could not understand, let alone pronounce. Who seemed to be written by people who took it really personally and felt very offended if you didn't understand what they meant. Deconstructed lasagna. I mean, come on. What was wrong with lasagna in the first place? And to me, deconstructed just means someone dropped it on the floor. So in the last 20 years or so, I've watched a lot of food trends. The fat-free era, or as I call it, when the flavor was the enemy. The protein everything era. Protein water, whoever asked for that. The avocado era, when avocados suddenly costed more than rent. The charcoal face, when we all briefly ate things that look a little bit like barbecue leftovers. And now, the latest trend is everything fermented. When I was young, fermentation meant patience. It meant you have to wait a long time for it. Now, fermentation means £8 a jar, and it's good for the gut. It's funny because most of these fashionable foods nowadays are simple, plant-based, seasonal, humble. Suddenly, the meals my mother cooked are being rediscovered by chefs with long beards and podcasts. And honestly, I actually love that, because it means that we are finally realizing something important. Food isn't just about the trends, but it is about the care that you take with that food. It is about the care for the ingredients, the care for the people, and in particular, for me, that finally we are realizing we need to care where that food comes from and respect it. My mother didn't have cookbooks, but she had instinct. She knew how to stretch a meal like no one I know, using anything that was available at her fingertips, and somehow still make it taste like love. I've been very lucky in my career. I started as a kitchen porter, as a waiter, and I've done every other job in catering that you can imagine. I have worked in the restaurant industry, hotel industry, event industry. I have served the royal family, run events for the royal family. So food for me was always, always at the heart of everything that I did. No matter how fancy the restaurant, no matter how trendy the dish, my definition of a meal still goes back to those humble beginnings. Sitting down, eating together, feeling grateful. I still believe the best ingredient is appreciation. Because when you've known poverty and scarcity, you never take food lightly. You respect it. You slow it down. And you remember. So when I think about the evolution of food trends, I don't just see fashion. I see a story of scarcity that has turned into abundancy. I see a story of survival that has turned into choice. And I see a story of tradition that has turned into inspiration. Food trends, in my opinion, are a mirror of society. They show us what we value, what we fear, and more importantly, how we are rediscovering everything that was simple in the past. Right now, when you think about food trends, we are rediscovering and we are craving simplicity, sustainability, and connection, which tells me something very, very hopeful. We're trying to remember what really, really matters. So here's to another 50 years and forward. Thank you.